Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
So how crazy are things really? Well, I would say right now things have gotten pretty crazy. And I'm referring to what happened with Hillary Clinton on 9/11. The anniversary of 9/11 2001 and 9/11 2012, when the men died in Benghazi when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. Just want to point that out because I think it's important to do that. As we all know by now, anybody who's watched the news at all, you know that she had a quote-unquote kind of a spell. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I know it's been talked about a lot, but as you're seeing now, of course, it's dying down in the news because Hillary is laying low and has been since that occurred. And that's by design. You know, she's recovering. And here's the funny thing, you know, she's supposed to have just pneumonia. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But now she's recovering at home, but she's feeling great. So why isn't she back out on the campaign trail? Well, here's my theory on that. Monday and Tuesday, she was supposed to be in California for a fundraiser. You don't need to go. You got California locked down. There's nothing that you could do, even if you shot someone in the street. She's gonna win in California. There's nothing she could do. So that would be a good time to take a little vacay. And I think Las Vegas was what she was going to do this week as well. And I think Bill may just, you know, he's going to be a good old boy and just kind of stand in for her, I think. Or that was the last rumored talk. And again, Nevada is one of those places that if you vote in Harry Reid, you will vote in anybody. Okay? So no need to go to Vegas, though whatever happens in Vegas would have stayed in Vegas, right? Wink, wink. But now she can just relax and then get back on the campaign trail on Thursday of this week and show the world how great everything is. But let's go back to that day. You know, there've been different people saying, one says it's like 75 degrees outside, and another person saying it's 80, and then somebody else saying, oh my God, it was just a horrendously, horribly hot day. You know, it depends on what mainstream media news channel that you're watching at the time. But supposedly, she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday, the Friday before September 11. Of course, didn't tell anybody because, you know, that's the Clintons. They don't tell anybody anything. They just kind of go out and do things in secret, you know, like the Clinton Foundation, email servers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so, and I'll tell you something. If it hadn't been for one person who happened to be there and filming by the last name of Gazda, Gazda, and I think he's still alive today, the last I checked. But if it hadn't been for him, we would have known nothing. You never would have known that she, quote unquote, has pneumonia, that she was sick, that she had to leave the 9/11 memorial service early, or that if that was noticed, it would be because, oh, well, she had another event to go to, or someone called in with an emergency. Maybe Chelsea had an emergency and called her mother away momentarily. But, of course, she was going to come back, I'm sure. Something like that, something would have been made up, and you never would have known anything. But one man happened to be there, cameras rolling, and he did such an amazing job. I mean, if he's looking for a job, he's a professional. It looks like somebody should hire him. He takes a picture, the video of her, and let's kind of go over that point by point because I think it's really important. First of all, there are accusations that the woman who's on her left is her doctor. I don't know about you, but different events that I go to, I always have my doctor going with me because, you just never know when something might happen. And even if I've been diagnosed with something, even more so, I have a doctor with me if I go to an event. Don't you? I mean, doesn't everybody? So here's the doctor walking with her, and it looks like, and people have said it looks like the doctor's taking the pulse rate of Clinton, and Clinton has her hand on her chest, which some people are saying that's what you do if you're shaking. For example, if you had Parkinson's or something like that, you would put your hand on your chest so that you would stop your hand from shaking. And she walks over to and I'm just going to call it a pole. It's to keep the cars out from coming down that way, and I can't think of the name right now. I'm just going to say pole. All right. So she goes over to the pole, and she's a barricade. Thank you. There we go. She's at the barricade, and she's leaning up against it. Now, if you watch the video kind of closely, you will notice that she is as stiff as a board. Her head is straightforward. It never goes to the left or to the right. It's straightforward. I mean, I wish we had a view of what the expression on her face looked like from the front, because I think that would have been very telling as well. It was almost as if, and I'm not saying she is or anything else, but it was almost like a catatonic stance where you just don't move. And you usually see those type of things with, schizophrenia, that type of thing. And I'm not saying that Hillary is schizophrenic, but I'm just saying it looked like that stiffness that, just did not move. And then when they start to move her towards the van, she wobbles. It's like those little wobbly dolls that you can see sometimes on the stereotypical dashboard of somebody with the doll, like kind of the head that wobbles back and forth. That's what it looked like, And she's standing there wobbling, and then the Secret Service guy comes around on the other side of her, gets a hold of her, and you can immediately see that her right foot kind of lifts and pounds on the pavement. And at the time that occurs, a piece of metal comes down from what looks to be something located on her body. Could possibly be from the hand of, the Secret Service guy. I don't think so, but, I don't know. And you then immediately afterwards, you hear the sound of the metal hit the pavement. And then you see her, she can't even move her feet after that. And she literally face plants into the van. She would have hit the cement had they not been there. Let's just say that. I think at that point she just, totally passed out and was gone. And then they throw her in the van. And, of course, she loses a shoe, and they have to pick up her shoe, of the princess and put it in the van, and then she leaves. And, it's really weird. A couple of things. I never would have noticed that piece of metal had I not seen the video slowed down. And it's up on YouTube. There's a guy, I don't know, I can't remember if the name is Medically or something like that. And he did the video and put it in slow motion. You can actually see the metal piece falling down, hitting the cement, and you can hear the sound of metal on cement after that. And then if you go back and you watch it at normal speed, you can hear the metal hit the cement, and just to the left of her right leg, you can actually see an object falling on the ground. Now, some people have said they think it's an EpiPen. I don't think so, in my opinion, just because it seems to be more flat to me than what an EpiPen would look like. Others say that it's from some type of bag that she's got hooked to her leg, and the metal piece has come off of that bag. Colostomy bag, I think is what they said it was specifically. Other people have said that it's a catheter, and then some have said it's a leg brace metal piece coming off. I don't know what it is, and guess what? We will never know what that is. We will never know what that is. And then the odd thing is, and I've heard other people talking about this. I heard yesterday on another radio show of a man who used to be a Secret Service agent, and he'd been on some campaign with a high-level person, did not say who it was. And he said it's up to the leader of the Secret Service whether or not a person goes to the hospital. Even if that person doesn't want to go, the leader has the final decision on that. And normal protocol, and I think we all know that the protocol would be what it would be in a case like that. Normal protocol is that you're going to take that person to the hospital. They've fainted, they've had a seizure, whatever it looks like. You're going to take them there because obviously, they need to go. But she didn't go. And then I heard, the people speculating, well, she wasn't taken there because her doctor was with her, and the doctor probably said don't take her. And the Secret Service leader would still have the final say whether or not she went to the hospital. What you and I both know, and what we're alleging, is that this is an illness that they know what it is, that they're managing. They know they've been there, done this 100,000 times. Okay, 100,000 might be a stretch, but they've done this a number of times. They know what to expect. They know that this isn't that this is normal. Okay, they know what to look out for, and then they automatically they know what to do. And as you could see in the video, they surrounded the van. They didn't want anybody with a camera or anything else taking pictures. Didn't see the guy over there with a video, but that's okay. And I'm not sure at this point if Secret Service would have stopped him because they don't like her either, from what I understand. That she is just horrible to them, calls them names. I mean, that's been out in other books, and other people have talked about that. I don't think it's a secret. So maybe they were thinking, hey, go ahead. Let me make sure you get a good angle. I'll take my time getting around to her and putting her in the van. So they put her in the van, and what do? And let me just tell you before that, there was another thing where it looked like her doctor was giving her a neurological test. And that's what you could really assume by looking at the video if you didn't know what was going on. And Dennis Michael Lynch, somebody who is in the news and used to be on Newsmax, and he got sort of kicked off of that show because they started telling him supposedly what he could and couldn't do on his show, and he said, well, I'll show you, and goodbye. I don't agree with Dennis on everything he does, but I do know that he knows movies and he knows film. He's been a producer of documentaries. I mean, he knows what he's doing in that area for sure. And he went back and he looked at the video and he said, that is not what you think you're seeing. And he rolled the tape back and then he rolled the tape forward and explained that they don't even touch hands, that it was not what you think it was. Like the doctor was pinning on the little, the little flag onto Hillary's lapel, the little, whatever they have there, representing the flag, I guess, and for the 9/11 memorial. And then she moves her hand down, and Hillary kind of moves her hand up, and their hands don't even actually meet. But if you didn't know what you were watching, you would think absolutely that Hillary was squeezing her hand for a neurological test. And Dennis claims, and you can see it when he puts it in slow motion, their hands don't even meet. So he did that to say, don't spread that rumor, because if you were spreading that rumor, it'd be absolutely a false rumor. And he's right, because if you do that, then you don't have legitimacy on anything else that you're saying. So we need to drop that. It's already been disproved. So they put her in the van. Let's go back there for a moment. And instead of taking her to the hospital, they make the decision supposedly to take her to Chelsea's apartment. Now, here's what I know about grandmothers. Grandmothers love to put their own children and their grandchildren in danger, right? Don't you agree with me that, most grandmothers, they're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put my children in danger and my grandchildren in danger. Now, what do I mean by that? And I'm being sarcastic. Hopefully. You have to explain these things these days. But what does she do? She knows she has, quote-unquote, pneumonia that she's been diagnosed with, only recently been on antibiotics, okay? Potential risk. So what does she do? First thing she does is head off to her daughter's apartment where her grandchildren are, her young grandchildren, her vulnerable grandchildren are. And she goes in there and puts them at risk. If she has pneumonia, and if the antibiotics aren't working, or these young babies are susceptible, here you go. Grandma has just infected everybody. And a couple of hours later, now here's the part where it gets really, really interesting. We all know that, Hillary has a few pounds on her. A lot of us do. No crime there. We also know that Hillary has pretty wide hips. You can kind of tell in her pantsuits, and a lot of times she wears jackets, so you can't tell. I mean, let's just be honest. And she's she's up there in years, so a lot of things aren't as they used to be. We all can attest to all those type of things. And she emerges from the apartment looking like, I don't know, a young 40-year-old. I mean, my gosh, I don't know what they did to her while she was in the apartment. Wink, wink. But she looked amazing for somebody who, gosh, I don't know, a half an hour before looked heavier. Skin on her face didn't look as great. Hips weren't as wide. Looks like she'd lost a lot of weight. I don't know, what they put her through. Wink, wink. But she looked amazingly well, and spry, and like I said, thin. Her hips had been reduced, and if you have a close-up, somebody did a close-up of her teeth before and after. Even her teeth look different. Now, again, I know people are going to say, well, that's all conspiracy. Well, and it very well could be, but I'm telling you, the woman looked fabulous afterwards. And she still had the blue glasses on, which people are saying, well, that's anti-seizure glasses. But, of course, they're... Her people aren't saying that. I mean, come on, that's just, again, speculation. And then there's been talk, of course, of a body double, and maybe that they replaced her with a body double at Chelsea's apartment, and that's who came out. I mean, why would we think that? Because she looked different? Come on. That everything about her looked different? Come on. And the fact that when she came out, like Secret Service, who normally surrounds her, weren't surrounding her? You want me to believe that? Wink, wink. And then they have this little girl. Oh my gosh. She must have just been walking by at I don't know how you time those things. I mean, just a coincidence. Kind of miraculously walking by and just standing there, because what happens in every Hillary, anytime she's in public, right? People they throng her, or kids run up to her because they just want to touch her. And of course they're allowed to do that because, there's no danger with people coming up into somebody like that. I mean, I'm right. And I'm being sarcastic again, if you can't tell. Okay, so just every now and then I have to tell you that, just so that you and I are on the same page, or in case somebody's tuning in and going, what, is she stupid? No, I'm just being sarcastic, so just try to stay with me. So anyway, this little girl who just happened to be standing there runs up, says something to her, and Hillary, of course, she knows that mom is going to take a photo moment, right? We know already about the video because I'm sure that it's been shown 1,000 times to her now. The one that Gazda took of her trying to get into the van in one piece. So she's seen that. So what do we need to do? We need to go out. We need to show everyone that we feel great, that we just overheated, for God's sakes. I mean, it was 75, 80 degrees. I got pneumonia. I just overheated. I don't drink water. My staff always wants me to drink water. I tell them I don't want to drink water. And so I just got dehydrated. But you know what? They just hooked me up to an IV. I feel great now. Feel great. And I'm going to go over here to this little girl because, again, I'm not contagious with my pneumonia. Come on. So I'm going to put my hand on this little girl and get really close to her and maybe put her at risk. And then I'm going to have this picture taken, and it's going to be great. And then I'm going to say a word or two because you need to hear my voice. And, it's not like they have people who can impersonate your voice, all right? So it's going to be my voice that you're hearing. And then I'm just going to smile and tell everybody everything's great. And then this time, instead of having that face plant into the van, I'm going to get in on my own. Because, again, there's no Secret Service around me anywhere. I mean, miles away those people are. We don't need them anyway. And I'm just going to go on, and everything's going to be great. And then when I go home, though, because I'm feeling so great and I'm trying to recover, from the pneumonia that I have, I'm just going to take, 3 days off from the campaign trail and stay at home so I can recuperate from what I don't know, because I'm feeling so great from the pneumonia that I have that I could just go out. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to stay home. Yeah, because see, what happens is when you lay low and you stay out of the public eye for a couple of days, the public forgets. They go on to something else. I mean, we've already gone on and back in the news. Here's Donald Trump. He did he actually went to my hometown in Asheville, North Carolina, and he did a rally there. And of course, there were some people up in the stands, and they all looked white. Just for all you Black Lives Matter people out there who want to know, they all looked white, and it looked like they may have done some like pushing or what, I don't know. It was something so that the cameras could go, oh my God, look at that. Look at that. Well, they don't know that kind of stuff goes on in Asheville, North Carolina a lot of the times, or at least when I was growing up there. Right? It's kind of how a lot of people express themselves. So it could have been any rally, or any football game or any dance. It just kind of sometimes happens. It wasn't a big deal. It was over in about 2 seconds and life went on. But of course, we've got to make a really big deal out of it because we've got to get the cameras off of Hillary onto anybody else. And what better person to do that than Donald Trump? So let's turn the cameras around, guys. Okay, all right, you up in there in the stands, do a little pushing and shoving, and then we'll make a big story out of it, and then we can move on. And, again, been a day or two. I think she spoke with Anderson Cooper. I heard a little bit of that. I don't watch CNN unless I have to. If nobody else is showing something, then I'll, turn on CNN. It's hard to turn on anything these days because you're being fed a line of crap from most mainstream media and Fox News and CNN. And, it's just kind of, you can't trust anybody. You can't trust what you're seeing or hearing. They're not giving you accurate, realistic news of what's happening. They're feeding you what they want you to be fed. But anyway, I watched a few, and I'll have to say it was less than a minute of her talking to Anderson Cooper and just could not understand why people were making such a big deal of it. I was just dehydrated, people. And I don't know about you. I've actually had a couple of heat strokes. And I don't know. I didn't wobble and almost fall down. I didn't face plant myself into a van. And I'm not saying that those things aren't serious. They are. And again, I'm not a doctor, but here's what I've read, okay? If you're in a dry climate, you could have a heat stroke and you could die. It's very likely. If you are in a humid environment, one in which New York and Washington, D.C., very humid environments, typically you can get fatigued, but you don't die. Can you pass out? Yes, you can. But while serious, it's not, as serious, from what I've read, as a heat stroke. So, again, I guess dehydration is what happened. And then because there was a video, we had to add the fact that, oh, and by the way, she was diagnosed with it on Friday, but we weren't going to tell you. Why would we tell you that? But a lot of people are saying now, again, allegations, rumors, what have you, that Secret Service are with her all the time. They know where she's going. They know what she does and who she's with. And it's strange, but nobody remembers taking her to a doctor or seeing a doctor, take chest x-rays or anything to determine if she had pneumonia. Now, who knows? Maybe they have something that we don't know that this, the people, the little people maybe don't use. And they brought in a special x-ray machine and everything else. Nobody knew. Maybe it was just, who knows? Maybe it looked like a laptop, the size of a laptop and something. And that's what they took her chest x-ray with and in private, and nobody knows. Maybe that's it. And so that was supposedly done on Friday. And I don't know about you, but if you have a presidential nominee and they say, they pass out like that, and obviously she passed out, and they say, well, she's got pneumonia. Okay, I kind of want to see the chest x-rays. I don't know. I mean, shouldn't we be able to see something? Because it's not only just this, but it's, okay, well, she has allergy attacks, and she's had allergy attacks because, well, why? Pollen count's so high. As it was on Labor Day, except it wasn't high. And she has allergies in January and February in places where it's really cold. Go figure that. Don't your allergies, aren't they really worse in the winter? I mean, if it's snow on the ground and freezing, come on. Aren't your allergies really, the seasonal allergies really, really a lot worse than the spring and summer? Right? Wink, wink. So then the allergies, the coughing from the allergies, turns into pneumonia. Who knew? I mean, my gosh. If you're a doctor and you got your doctor there at different events, I mean, wouldn't the doctor know, hey, you know what? You're looking a little bit, not so great. I'm going to take your temperature, all right? Because allergies, you don't have a temperature with allergies. But you'd have a temperature with the flu, pneumonia, something like that. So you're telling me that nobody thought to check her temperature to see what was wrong. But, they go in after she's coughed for 4 minutes on the stage. And again, all of this is going to be soon forgotten because they want you to focus now, turn everything back on to Donald Trump and how bad he is so that Hillary can keep going. And you wonder, again, Obama comes out and says, Hillary is going to be the best president, even better than me. I mean, I support her because she's just amazing. And you wonder why the Democrat Party would want this obviously sick from something individual, why you would want that person to be president. If you're in the Democrat Party, is that because you want Kane to be the next president and you're hoping that when if she gets elected and she's in office, then he'll become the president and everything will be great? Is it because you want to replace her with Joe Biden because Joe now has had some time to think about it and now he's put Joe in, Bernie's available because he's not doing anything except, living in that home he paid, $600,000 for. He's poor. So you have to sit and wonder, what are these people doing? What are they thinking? What are they planning? And trust me, as you know, progressives never sleep. Progressives never go out without a plan. They always, always have a plan for what they're doing. And they've thought this through. They've really thought this through. Now, I wish I could sometimes just get into their minds. It's a scary, scary thing to want to do that and to even try to do that. But they have, something is behind this. Either they want somebody that they can control easier than Hillary, and so they're willing to just let her go and see how far she can go and then maybe pass away. In the White House, they don't really care. Because maybe Tim, would be easier to control than even Hillary. He would make a better puppet than Hillary. And the powers that be will be, well, this will be great. And he can run the White House. And again, maybe they at the last minute, they want to put Joe in right before it looks like she's going to go far off the deep end. And then Joe could go in there and win, because Joe, he's like the smartest guy I know. Oh, God. And what gets me is that the people, the Hillary supporters, okay, I think probably a lot of them are looking at this and going, and in fact, I've seen some on social media, like, oh, aren't you sorry that this woman is sick? Come on, give her a break. She's got pneumonia. Look at her. She just pushes through. She's amazing. They've really bought it all hook, line, and sinker, as they typically do. But you would think somewhere along the line they could put 2 and 2 together, or for 5 seconds just stop being led around by the nose and understand that there have been so many occasions there's absolutely something wrong. And if you are so much for Hillary Clinton, well, she may not be your president if she's elected. Well, at least not for very long. Now, my thoughts are, with Hillary, people have said to me, well, why doesn't Hillary just drop out? If she knows she's that sick, why would you want the stress? Why would you want to spend your last days taking on that kind of stress in the White House? Because ego. Ego will have you do just about anything. In my mind, for her, if she became the first female president, even if she dropped dead on the day of inauguration after she'd been, put into office, she'd be happy. She would have a legacy that she left behind for everyone. There have been female presidents before, but we just don't talk about them. The ones where I think Woodrow Wilson's wife and Eleanor Roosevelt basically ran the office for a while that nobody knew about. And they weren't officially the president, of course. So we can't say that there have been female presidents running the country before. But Hillary wants that title, and they don't care. And a lot of people who are among the elites, they really think they're going to live forever. That God is just kind of like, really, God? Well, who are you? And that they can outlive anything. They can outlast anything. That they're above that. They're above God's rules, above God's laws. Because to them, God doesn't necessarily exist. Oh yeah, they'll talk about it and maybe they'll be seen in church. Doesn't necessarily mean they believe in God, but they're doing what they need to do. As Hillary did a long time ago, when it was so important at the time to be for marriage, and then, between a man and a woman, and then turn around years later and say, well, no, I'm for marriage with anybody. That it was same sex, whomever, it's okay. After she'd been so adamant that it needed to be between a man and a woman. So they just blow with the wind. They shift with the wind. Whatever the flavor of the day is, that's what they get behind. And so it's not surprising to see her do anything and everything that she can to get into the White House, even if it costs her health. Because again, they don't think in terms of that. There are people too, and this is a subject that I was introduced to, I don't know, about a year or so ago from a guest on transhumanism and technocracy. And I thought when I had him on before I read the book, I thought, really? What, we're going to talk about this? I don't know. It seems like a weird subject to me. Well, the more I got into it, the more I read about it, the more I listened to him, it's like, wow, these people really believe this. And they try to do whatever they can to stay alive, even if it means, I don't know, putting other parts into their bodies or anything else that they can. And they really do, and even so more than others, try to be transhuman, to rise above being human and figure out a way to stay alive forever if they can. And again, I know it sounds crazy, but the guy that I had on my show Patrick Woods, and he's been on a couple of times now. He wrote Technocracy Rising. Take a look at it, see for yourself. And he talks about all kinds of things that these elitists do, and it is pretty amazing. And they continue to try to have us believe that everything they're saying is true, that what we see, and what they want us to see and what they allow us to see is true. And as you know, with Hillary, she didn't even allow the press corps or anybody else to come around her after she had her quote-unquote fainting spell. We are living in such surreal times now, and I think more people are starting to wake up to see that, because you're sitting there going, this can't be real, this is a joke. And it's like, no, it's not a joke. I mean, people have compared her to Weekend at Bernie's and all that. I mean, because it's almost like you have to find a reason to kind of laugh, because if you don't, you'll be like, oh my God, I can't even deal with this. I mean, it's too much to think this is where we are right now in society and at what point we've come to. It's scary. But the scariest thing too is that we get so focused on things like this election when there's so many other important things going on. And while what we're seeing with Hillary should continue to stay in the public eye and make sure that it stays, we need to start as well, focusing on other things that are going on around us. Because you have to know also that the Clintons are the king and queen of distraction. And let's face it, the progressive left, that's what they do. They distract. They create chaos and they distract so that we won't really see what's going on. It's funny. We were just, a couple of weeks ago talking about Iran and how all that money was paid to Iran by the Obama administration. And then suddenly we have all of these health issues with Hillary, and now we've moved on, and I don't really hear anybody talking about all the money that was given to Iran and all the times that Iran has threatened our military, and on and on and on. We haven't talked about that because we're still focused just on Hillary now, on her health issues, and even that is fading away. So we're going to need something new to focus on, because again, they don't want us to see what's really going on. I mean, how many of you have heard what's going on right now in Syria and in Israel? I think it was September the 12th, which, like the next day it began, is when Syria has been firing missiles into the Golan Heights. And as you may recall, I've written a couple articles on the Golan Heights. That's where all the natural gas is. I mean, that is, talk about valuable stuff, okay? That is where all the valuable things are in the earth right now. I mean, if you want to be rich, you want to control everything, you want to have tons of money and all the oil and gas and this and that you want, this Golan Heights. So here you have people who are like Iran and Russia, right over there in Syria. And then you have the Syrians who are like, well, let's just fire some missiles into Golan Heights. Now, they could say, well, we're fighting this other stuff over here and we're trying to protect ourselves, and it just happened to go into the Golan Heights. But, yeah. And supposedly they shot down a drone and a jet of Israel. Israel's denying that. They're saying that did not happen. And so how long is it going to be before Iran and Russia say, well, we've seen Syria fire a few missiles in there into the Golan Heights. We kind of know what Israel would do with that. It would be nice to have all that natural gas. I mean, that's pretty plentiful, if you know what I mean. And we're not going to need anything. We get that, and we're going to be set. And who's going to stop us? The United States, are they really going to go in and try to protect the Golan Heights? Now, the Americans have some interest in the Golan Heights. I think they're leasing some things there in the Golan Heights. So they may, or at least at one point they were leasing something there. So they may have an interest to go in to try to protect it. But under this administration, I don't think so. And so Israel, of course, is going to have to protect itself, and that's what they're doing so far. And we'll see where it goes. I mean, if you're into Bible prophecy, Isaiah 17 talks about the destruction of Damascus in Syria there. So it'll be interesting to see if that's where we're headed. And I'll tell you, for those who don't believe perhaps in end times prophecy and all that, if that happens in the destruction of Damascus, you'd better start being a believer, okay? Because that is like one of the clearest examples of being in the end times. Although I already know that we are. I'm just saying, if you weren't a believer before and you have a destruction of Damascus, as it talks about in Isaiah 17, I mean, at that point you'd better become a believer, okay? Because you're really running out of time. And a lot of people feel that once that the Isaiah 17 comes about, that we're then headed immediately almost into Ezekiel 38 and 39. Again, in the Bible. So, for those who are listening or saying, like, I don't even believe in the Bible, I don't even believe in the end times. Well, if you go and you read that, you may become a believer, especially, like I said, if Isaiah 17 comes to pass, you got a really limited amount of time, in my opinion. So, but my point is, there are things like that happening, and I'm really not seeing that much talk about it in the news. We're not talking that much again about Hillary. We've kind of gone on now. I mean, here's the cycle. It's kind of like, okay, Hillary, then we move on to Trump, and then we'll move back into Black Lives Matter, because you go around. It goes around and around and around. You know, we have the people who are taking a knee on the field. You know, because they don't want to stand for the American flag or the Pledge of Allegiance or national anthem or anything else that happens to be connected with America, because America's bad, police are bad, everything's bad, the government's oppressive, blah 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 blah. You know, the government that is so oppress these people on the field that they can make millions of dollars a year. Gosh. And if I have to hear like one more time that this is a First Amendment right, no, it isn't. It isn't. It's about people who want to, celebrities who want to use your valuable time, your money, your game. They don't want to go out there and do what they were paid to do, which is play football. Nobody paid you to go out and do anything other than play football. And if you want to protest, if you want to exercise any constitutional right, go for it, but do it on your own time. And if you don't do it on your own time, if you do it during a game or your job or anything else, then be prepared to be fired. And these people should fire them. Will they? No. No, they won't. But the only thing that's going to happen is if you get sick and tired of it, if you say enough is enough. Again, and I'm not saying these people don't have a constitutional right, whoever they are. Do it on your own time. Do it on your day off and go out and lead a protest. Go for it. I'll be there to support you in your right to do so. But on the football field, when you're getting paid, when your job is to do your job, it's not the time to sit and protest. And I don't care. Any job that anybody out there who's listening right now, go to your job and tell them that you want to protest during working hours and see how open they're going to be about that. And if you still want to do it, you can do it, but you could also be fired because you're not doing your job that you were paid to do. Okay? So I'm sick and tired of hearing about how oppressed people are and how they have a constitutional right to take a seat, bend the knee, whatever. You also have a constitutional right, in my opinion, to stay in the locker room and come out after the national anthem. And I think that's what they need to start doing with these people. Put them in the locker room. Tell them they can't come out on the field until after the national anthem. And then you want to take a knee, go ahead and take a knee or sit down on the bench, and you can sit there the rest of the season. I have a news for you. Kaepernick isn't that great of a quarterback. So replace him with somebody else, whatever. Kick him off the team. Why? Because exercising his constitutional rights? No, because he's not doing the job he was hired to do, and he's not that good anyway. I'm so tired of the progressive left's argument that if you're not in agreement with them, then somehow you violated somebody's rights. I'm done with it. And I'm done with these people who feel, I don't know if you saw the video coming out of Phoenix where these three police officers were standing in front of what looks like maybe like a 7-Eleven or something. They're standing, I think, next to their squad car, and they're just talking, minding their own business, but they're in the parking lot right next to the car. And this guy, who turns out to be African-American male, looks like a young guy, probably in his late 20s, early 30s, decides he's just going to run him over. And he takes, and they have film that shows, according to what they're saying, is that he speeds up. That is obvious that he's speeding up to hit them. And he basically mows them down. And if you look at the film, I'm telling you, I don't know how that all three of them didn't die. It looked like rolling a bowling ball down the alley. That's what it looked like, and knocking him out. That's exactly what it looked like. And one guy was kind of like thrown into the building. Another one got hit and kind of rolled off to the side, and then another one gets back up. Again, I don't know how these people even got back up, and went over and got the guy. And of course, he's a resisting arrest, and I'm sure he'll be saying, "Well, I was manhandled. Oh my God, and they hurt me. They scratched me. I think they threw him down on the cement. I'm good." You want to try to kill people, you're going to be thrown down on the cement for that. And, I mean, literally, this guy thinks, it's okay? It's okay for you to do that because you think police officers are killing black people, so you're just going to go ahead and kill them? I mean, this is insanity that has to stop. And again, not all black people feel this way. Not all black people are insane and do insane things like this guy did. I don't think he's insane. He knew exactly what he was doing, it looked like in that video. But the act itself was insane. Statistics do not bear out what Black Lives Matter are alleging. More white people are killed by cops than are black people. And if you don't want to believe it, you don't want to believe it. But it's the truth. If you don't like facts, then go out and look yourself. Go out and have people that you know and trust, have them go out and do the statistics themselves. They're going to find the same results. It's amazing to me. But I actually had this African-American male arguing with me on social media about how oppressed black people are, and he gave me, as proof of it, a 1669 statute. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is your proof that black people are oppressed. This is 2016. This is a statute from 1669, and this is your proof. And I said, I hate to break it to you, but there were white slaves during that time as well. So this statute kind of it applies to them as well. And it's 2016. We don't have this anymore. We've moved past that. And as we always say, there are still problems going on in America. Some people are discriminated against. Some people are racist. It is not the majority of people. And people need to stop believing the lie coming from these quote-unquote activists who are doing this, who are creating chaos to keep us separated because that's how they stay in control. When are people going to wake up and realize that? I really wish that they could. And all of these people who are claiming to be oppressed, they weren't even alive during the civil rights era. I mean, what kind of oppression do you know? And if you ask them how they've been oppressed, what they will do is cite things that are happening with the police officers today to someone else. It's not anything that they've experienced themselves. You know, as I've told you before, I'm part Native American. Am I supposed to go and say, wow, Native Americans, they weren't treated right, and continue what happened in Wounded Knee, bring it forward to today, right? And I'm not saying that people shouldn't remember those times. They should absolutely remember those times so they don't happen again. But you don't even see the Native Americans who are sitting there like this, claiming things and going on, oh my gosh, we're oppressed. It's 2016 and we feel so oppressed. You know, they've moved on. They haven't forgotten, but they've moved on. And are things happening to them? Yeah, there's things right now happening to Native Americans that they're not happy about, and they're doing something about it. But they're not looking to blame every white person in the country because of what happened to them. And again, the African Americans, the ones that I've met who are, let's say, very educated, knowledgeable, wonderful people, which is a lot of people, they're not thinking this way. They're not going off the deep end and going out and looting and rioting and burning buildings down. You know, they look at things differently. They handle things differently. They're more in line with Martin Luther King Jr. And that's where, you know, if these people who are in these videos that you see just breaking out windows and this and that and the other, my God, nobody's going to ever take you seriously and listen to you. You could put fear into people, but that doesn't mean they're going to ever respect what you have to say. And they're not going to listen to what you have to say out of fear. They're just going to do what they do, perhaps out of fear, but it's not going to get you what you want. How you do this is that you sit down and that you calmly, respectfully talk, give your side of the story, and then calmly, respectfully listen to the other person's side of the story. And quit generalizing. I don't know how many times in an argument in social media where I've seen people, all you people, you know, quote unquote, all you people, meaning all you white people. It's like, I'm sorry, all you white people isn't any more feasible or plausible than all you black people. Quit generalizing people. Look at each individual person and judge the situation based upon that. Don't start lumping people together and saying all whites are this way, all blacks are this way, all Hispanics are this way. Stop doing that. Stop believing the progressive lie. Stop doing that. Stop stereotyping people. This really just gets me so upset because I know what's behind it. I know the game that's being played. And again, for people who believe that stuff, right? Young black people and young whites, young Hispanic, Asians, whoever you are, who believes the lie that's going around that Black Lives Matter and the Obama administration is trying to make you believe. Did you ever turn around and look at the people who claim to represent you and see how much money they have? Millions and millions and millions of dollars that have been pledged to their organization of Black Lives Matter, and the money they're getting from people like George Soros. Is this you? Is this who you claim to associate with and affiliate with? You think this is representative of people who are going to help you? If they were going to help you, the money that they have right now, what are they doing for you? How are they benefiting you? What do you see? What concrete thing do you see that they've done to help you, to benefit you? Not a thing. Not a thing. But you keep on believing that lie, and they'll keep on getting rich, and you'll just keep on getting poorer. You know why? Because you'll be so angry and so out there protesting every day that you won't be looking at your own life, your own goals, and your own future and working towards that in some type of career. You'll just be angry your whole life. And again, I don't care what skin color you are. If you're an angry individual who blames everybody else and won't take a moment to kind of say, I wonder if I have any responsibility in how people are reacting to me. then you'll spend the rest of your life just being angry and getting nowhere. And guess what? That's exactly what the elitists hope you will do. You have done their job for them. You have lined their pockets for them. It couldn't be better for them. And I'm sure they would want to thank you, but really, I don't think they want to come in contact with people like you. You know, they're too above you, but they make you think, gosh, I'm just like you. It's just like some of the politicians, like Hillary especially. I know your pain. I'm just like you. I'm just an Arkansas girl, even though she was born in Chicago and only lived there because she had to. But she can fake that Southern accent anytime, and she's not really good at it, but she tries. Come on. Get wise. Start realizing what people are doing and that they're using you. More Americans of every color, skin, appreciate and have compassion for every other American. Again, there are racists in this world, and there always will be. And if you want to live your life thinking that every person is against you, that doesn't have your own skin color, you'll just be sitting around the rest of your life chasing your tail. That's what you'll be doing. And you'll be making people afraid of you, but they won't respect you. And maybe you won't care, but you won't even respect yourself. Because a person who is like that really doesn't respect themselves. Because if they did, they would know that there is a better way to talk to people, a better way to accomplish things. Look at Dr. King. Do you even know who Dr. King is? Have you even watched or read any of what Dr. King ever did? And maybe you think, well, Dr. King was wrong because he tried to do it this way and it didn't work, or he's not violent enough, or whatever. Well, okay, you go back and you read all of his writings. You look at all the films before you make that decision, because all you're doing is listening to people who are filling your head with crap. If you want to really be educated, and I'm talking about educated in the topic that you claim to know so much about, then educate yourself in that topic and look at all points of view. And then come back and make a wise decision. But don't make one based upon what somebody else has told you. You know, far too many people these days, they're listening to one person, or the person that they think agrees with them, okay? And so then they're like, oh, okay, well, you agree with me. I'm going to listen to you, and I'm just going to believe you because since you're so much like me, you can't be wrong. Well, if you don't know the other points of view, you won't know if they're right or wrong. You'll go down that road with somebody that you may not be going down the road with, or shouldn't be going down that road with, I should say. But you won't know that unless you educate yourself. And I just think that people, they get so frustrated that they think about short-term consequences. They don't think about long-term consequences. So they may find themselves angry and breaking out car windows as they're being videotaped. Sooner or later, the police are going to come knocking on your door. And if you end up in prison somewhere, you can hope that Obama at the end will give you a pardon, and he just might. Or you can say, you know what, I don't want to be in prison. I'm better than that. I have a better plan for my life, and I want to find that better way. I mean, the best way that you can help people that you claim are oppressed, and people who really are oppressed, the best way you can help them is to educate yourself and then go out there and actually help them. Figure out ways that you can raise them up. And not to, give them a hope, a false hope, like Black Lives Matter does, but to actually do things that will better their lives. And in the process, you're bettering your own life. We as Americans, that's who we are. That's what we have to concentrate on. That's what we need to focus on. We need to get these people, put them out of business that sit here and use vulnerable people their whole lives and claim to be activists that love these people, because you know it's not true. You know it because you've seen it. Don't fall for the lie. Thank you so much for being here today. Stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. Don't Don't get too caught up in the surrealness that's going on. Stay in the reality. Stay focused. Stay grounded where you know you need to be. And until next week, God bless you, and I'll see you again with more on Knowles on the News. Take care, everybody.